Welcome everybody to day 2 of the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games. It is Friday morning. The fog is still in the sky. The athletes are already starting to get here and get loose for what will be yet another grueling day of competition. I'm your host, Pat Sherwood, joined as always by the 2008 Fittest Woman on Planet Earth, Caity Henniger, and one day down, but a lot still left. What are you most excited about today?
Well, you just saw it. They opened the gates. The spectators are here. You can feel it in the air. You know, we have 2 events under our belt, but everybody's ready for this morning. Let's get it started.
And this morning, when we got here, I walked through the gate at about 5:45 in the morning. We already had fans lining up, super fans, I would guess you would call them, waiting just to get in and grab the good seats. The competition is going to have a packed schedule today, and to help you kind of navigate that is Tommy Marquez.
Thanks, Pat. We've got a full slate of competition ahead of us for teams and the individuals, starting in the soccer stadium. This morning at 9 a.m., the teams are going to take on Event 3 in the Earthworm. Once they're done with that, they'll reload quickly. At 10:45, they're going to hit team events 4, 5, and 6 in the team synchros. Remember, each one of those is worth 50 points each. It's an evolution of the regional synchros event that we saw, except we've swapped out the pull-ups for the bar muscle-ups. Once the teams are done, the individuals will take the floor at 12:30 with Murph. It's sure to be an exciting event. It's one I know I'm looking forward to. Once the individuals are done with Murph, closes off competition in the soccer stadium. We'll head over to the tennis stadium at 3:30. The individuals will take on the snatch speed ladder. Remember, it's very similar to the clean speed ladder last year, so it should be exciting with some heavy barbells moving fast. After that, at 5:50, we've got one more event that's still to be announced. We'll have to wait and see what Dave Castro has in store for us. Remember, once the competition has come to a close, we'll be here at the Day at the Game set to recap all of the action from today. Let's head now over to Vendor Village, where Kayla Banfield is going to catch up with some of the excitement heading on over there.
The CrossFit Games are a great opportunity to come and check out the fittest people in the world. Another major attraction, though, is Vendor Village, where you can come to satisfy all of your CrossFit needs. One of the many things you can do at Rogue is climb into wheelbarrows with your girlfriends. Come and grab your crunch. So tell us a little bit about your stall.
So we're Power Monkey Fitness. One of our products is the ring thing. It's a ring training device, basically learning how to do things like muscle ups and levers and handstand push-ups and some more advanced gymnastics movements as well.
Can you tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're doing a 5-minute max altitude challenge. He's got 5 seconds left. Fernando, come on, bud.
Oh, am I?
And that's against the rules.
Oh, no!
This is your prize right
For
here.
doing a minute of the 5-minute challenge. And what's the number to beat?
Now it's 2:22.
That is impressive. Have you got that before?
Actually, that's QPR for me.
So tell us what we've got here and what you can find this weekend.
This is the CrossFit Fan Experience. It's basically an opportunity for all the CrossFitters to work with the various SMEs in CrossFit, so weightlifting, gymnastics going on right now.
Ooh, here I go. Whoa. Tell us what we can see at the Reebok tent.
Well, you can see a lot of our apparel, a lot of our footwear. The Nano 5 is out right now. Right now, we're at the Athlete Activation, the Athlete Challenge. So any spectator, anyone can step on up and challenge their favorite athlete to a 1-minute workout of their choice.
It's sparkly.
Yeah, so it's black and sparkly, so that's our new ring. 20% of the proceeds go right back to them to help out. And look at that, now you're married.
Did you just propose to me? I think you just proposed to me. He put a ring on my finger.
At Paleo Nick's, you can find all your paleo favorites. We got ribs, paleo barbecue sauce.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. This is paleo?
Paleo, yeah.
This is paleo. This tastes naughty. I love it.
You swing it forward, slide this hand down, much like chopping wood. Okay?
Yeah, because I used to do that all the time when I chopped wood. That is terrible. I'm not even at the bottom. So that was a very brief snapshot of Vendor Village, but there is so much more to see and do here. So come on down and check it out for yourself. Back to you guys.
I will tell you what jumped out at me was that Kayla has an iron cross and that one of the local fans was beating Rich Froning at ring dips on the videos. But if you wander out to Vendor Village, there's all kinds of activities that don't even involve watching the events, subject matter experts left and right, all kinds of tasty food, jumbotrons. You won't miss out any of the action whatsoever. Get out there. I made a lap yesterday. It's huge and it is an absolute blast. But what's going to be even more fun is today starts the second day of competition for both the men and women. And after one day, let's see how the women's leaderboard shook out. Cara Webb answering the questions as to, would she be able to come back from her injury. I know it's only one day down, but sitting in first place. Anna Tunnicliffe, the endurance specialist, more well-rounded than ever. Exciting rookie. And third, Sarah Sigmundsdottir. And then a whole host of well-known athletes round out the top 12. But what about Cara Webb?
Well, and I think after last year having to bow out with her injury, she started out this year just the same way she did last year with a first and third place finish, but she has what it takes. I think she started off this weekend well, and I think that this is going to give her the confidence. If she can survive Murph, get in the tennis stadium for the snatch ladder, she's going to do very well tonight.
And this has really been her MO all season. She dominated her regional, winning 4 events, only one of 3 athletes to do that. She finished second worldwide in the Open, and I really think she's here now to finish off the job that she got started last year.
Now, let's not get carried away, right? Just because the leaderboard looks this way beginning the morning of day 2 does not mean it's going to stay that way. We're going to shift a lot, but if anyone can stay in the top 10, who do you think that'll be, Tommy?
For me, it's Sarah Sigmundsdottir. For her to be in the top 5 and actually third place overall as a rookie after 2 games exclusive type events where you're not quite used to seeing every day at your gym, that means she's the real deal. I cannot wait to see her take on Murph, just to see what kind of grit and endurance she has on the big stage once we're in the soccer stadium, and the way she battled back from that mishap with the red bag where she brought it up too soon to come back and still have a top 10 finish. I'm super impressed by
I kind of liked the red bag thing. I was like, maybe it was a gray area, but I was stoked to see her like she tried, and I thought that was cool. But you kind of have your eye on a veteran.
I do have my eye on a veteran. I really like Sarah Sigmundsdottir, but I think people should watch out for Lindsay Valenzuela. After missing the games last year, she's sitting in 8th place, and if she can survive Murph, she is going to thrive tonight in the snatch ladder. I think she's used to the California sun. The heat's not going to be a problem for her this afternoon, and people should watch out. It's a long weekend ahead. She knows what it takes. She's been on the podium. I think she's sitting pretty right now.
Now, there are some people not sitting quite as pretty as they want. After one day of competition, we find a lot of well-known names outside the top 10 looking in, to include former champ Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, Jen Jones, and a whole host of others that we just thought were going to have one heck of a big year. Plenty of competition left. Who can make their way back into the top 10?
I think that's a big thing. Plenty of competition, but I think Michelle Latondra is going to make a run for it. She's sitting in 14th right now. She was just outside the top 3 last year with a 4th place finish. She spent her time in between regionals and the games, training with other games athletes, which I think is key to kind of get that competitive juices flowing. But I think she's going to make a move in Murph, and that's key for her to push a little bit, get back up into the top 10, and get the rest of the weekend going.
For me, it's Caity. She's in 17th overall right now, but I really think she's just getting her legs under her. She was 8th last year, which is super impressive. She's qualified for her 3rd straight games, and she has a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. She told us during her athlete interviews, we don't talk about her a lot on the show, which we probably should, but she's going to give us a reason to talk about her. She's an excellent squatter, great at pull-ups, which will benefit her in Murph. And I really think she's going to use that grit to kind of get her through that 2nd mile of Murph to kind of maybe turn some heads a little bit.
I loved when she said that during the athlete interview, because it wasn't cocky or anything. It was just very much a put in the time and, watch me, I'm going to perform. So hopefully that happens. Some other very big names that want to get back into the top 10. And the 2 biggest ones that jump out at me, Emily Bridgers and the former champ Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet. Between them, how does it look?
I'm never going to count on a former champ. So Camille's sitting in 22nd right now. I think it's a surprise to everyone. And I think she really has to push in Murph, and she has to push tonight, but she has to be consistent in the top 5, top 10 finishes for her to make it to the podium this year.
I've got my hopes up for Emily Bridges. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I think she's going to crush the bodyweight portion of Murph. She may not win the 1st mile, but watch her when she gets to the pull-ups, the squats, and the push-ups. And then on the 2nd mile, she's an athlete that I've seen kind of rise to the occasion whenever the stage is biggest and brightest. And I think she's going to do that. There's going to be some athletes just suffering and slogging on that 2nd mile, and I think that's one she's going to make her move.
Well, to be continued, and today the same thing is faced by the men. They have one day of competition down, and after the first day, here is how the leaderboard shook out. Janikowski in first place. Chad McKay, the big Australian, making his way back to the games, finds himself in second. Matt Fraser in third, and I'll tell you what, if I'm a competitor looking at this leaderboard, I'm terrified that Matt Fraser is already in third place because there's no battling back, and we haven't even broken out a barbell yet, but we'll see what happens. But the young guy, Koski, taking the lead.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Janikowski, and I think that, you know, he was here last year, got his feet wet. He knows what to expect, but, you know, we knew he would do well on the swim, and to come back in here today, I think he's going to do really well with Murph. He trains with the former champ, Mikko Salo. We know Mikko has an engine. I think Koski is developing a similar type of engine, so the volume of the weekend is not going to be a problem for him. I look for him to continue to stay in the top 5.
I love seeing Chad McKay at the top of the leaderboard sitting in second. You know, the big guy, he gives all of us tall guys
I was going to say, you're in the
Clydesdale
some of the bigger
athletes. Yeah, we're in the Clydesdale division. But, you know, he's done so well in the past at the games. He's one of those guys that really excels at games-exclusive programming. He can get through regionals. You know he'll do well at the games. And really, he's leading a contingent of international athletes where you saw the leaderboard. 8 of those 12 spots are occupied by international guys. You got 3 Europeans, 4 Australians, and a Canadian inside the top 12. The Americans got their work cut out for them.
I tell you, CrossFit might have begun in the U.S., but the international crew is beating up the U.S. guys right now. I mean, a whole host of talented individuals occupying the top, you know, inside the top 6, and they're not going to want to give those spots up. And there's so many great international guys there because, quite frankly, a lot of the veterans that we're used to seeing are kind of underperforming so far.
Yeah, and I think the biggest surprise on the men's side is Scott Panchik. I know, Pat, you had him picked to win this whole thing. And,
I did. I haven't given up.
But I think a lot of people have had that talk. We talked last night. Rich Froning's not here for individual. Jason Kalipa's not here. What veteran was going to step up? And I think a lot of us thought it was going to be Scott. He's dug quite a hole, but there, you know, he can do his job by finishing in the top 5 for these coming up events. But you know.
Now let's take a look at actually who some of those big-name veterans are that aren't quite where we thought they would be after one day of competition. Noah Olson in 14th place, Dan Bailey in 15th, and quite frankly, yeah, my biggest shock as well is Scott Panchik. Ben Smith, another person that I thought would finish in the top 3, and he certainly can do that, but starting out with an 18th place, man, that is not going to help him out. Tommy, what jumps out at you?
I mean, right at the top there, Noah Olson. You know, he's a guy who did extremely well and wore the leader's jersey last year. He had a 3rd place in the beach. We saw that exciting sprint against Chad McKay. But then he takes 36th place on the sandbag move after dumping his wheelbarrow. I mean, just a costly mistake. Dropped him to 14th overall after that event. It's unfortunate for him, but for someone like Noah, who's so outspoken and called his shot about winning the games, you can't make a mistake like that. And he kind of burned his get-out-of-jail-free card going forward if he wants to win the games.
I mean, you told people on the show, don't drop the wheelbarrow. I mean, I guess people aren't listening to you or something. They had to tune back in, so that's kind of where we are, one day of competition down for the men and the women. Let's take a look at the team leaderboard. Right now, CrossFit Solid occupying the top spot, followed by Athletic, and then Schwartz CrossFit Melbourne in 3rd place, and kind of continuing that trend, all international teams there in the top 3, but what teams can stay at the top?
No, I think if you look at Solid and Athletic, I think we knew they'd probably do well in the water, but I think as we get back into the stadium, as we start to move some weight, I think you're going to see the teams we've talked about in NorCal and Ute. But I don't think that, you know, Solid and Athletic could maybe stay in the top 10. I just don't see them staying at the top.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Athletic has finished 11th last year at the game, so they've got some capacity in some of the normal CrossFit workouts that we're going to see later on. But, you know, these are very odd workouts to start the day. A single modality run, then a swim with some weird deadlifts, and you know, they perform well. Give them some credit. But I think once we get in here, you'll see some of the big dogs start to take over and move their way up to the front.
I think it's actually very exciting when, you know, you get all these hype about the super teams and just some regular affiliates like, oh no, we're for real and you better take us seriously. And Justin Judkins caught up with one of those teams just moments ago.
Justin Judkins here in the athlete warm-up area. I am with CrossFit Athletic. They're sitting 2nd in the leaderboard. Kurt, you guys are from Sydney, Australia, and you're doing quite well in the beach events so far. Do you guys have a lot of experience with training in the sand and in the surf?
We're all from like fairly close to the beach, so we had a little bit of practice in the water. We had a bit of practice last year on that odd bodyboard type object, so we sort of had a bit of an idea what to expect. But I know we moved pretty well through the deadlifts as well. Our timing was quite good there, so we got to move fairly quickly through the water, which helped. So I think, living close by the beach helps a lot.
Yeah, obviously. Now, I heard that deadlift just ripped some people up, that odd object in the sand. How are the bodies feeling today?
Me personally, I'm pretty sore. My hamstrings are still pretty sore just from that awkward sort of movement. I think some of the guys are a little bit similar, but overall I think we're feeling pretty good and pretty excited to get started.
You've got some experience with the earthworm. It's coming up in this next event. What is your biggest key to success and try to overtake Team Solid?
I think just timing, really, just getting the no reps. So just timing at the bottom, timing at the top, and just go stick at a steady pace through the reps. Yeah.
Right on. Well, great job so far. Congratulations, and wish you continued success.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. All right, Pat, back to you guys at the desk.
And while JJ caught up with a team that's currently at the top and would like to stay there, earlier we caught up with your defending champions from last year.
The team competition's crazy this year. I mean, the quality of athletes on these teams is insane. And when they moved to the super regionals, we knew that there were going to be a lot of really, really great athletes that were going team, and sure enough, that happened. And of course, then you have guys like Rich and Tommy and Jason Kalipa going team. It's just at an absolute, next level. I don't think we have a team that we most want to beat. We've had a really good time. We have a lot of friends on the NorCal CrossFit team, and so we've had a great time talking smack back and forth with them, but it's all in good fun. Coaching individuals is fun, but honestly, I love coaching a team because you have to make sure everybody kind of comes together and is at the same place at the same time, and everybody's striving to achieve the same goals. You don't win championships without great athletes, but you also have to communicate, and they have to be able to trust each other. They have to know when to back off and let their teammate take the laboring oar, and they need to know when to step up and help somebody out. If they communicate, if they stay within their roles as a team and not try to do anything individually outside of the norm, if they have fun and communicate, their chances of being on the podium are excellent.
I don't think we have any expectations, and I think that was what was great about last year too. This year, like even this past weekend, we did some visualization and then some good exercises to get us mentally ready for this weekend, just to make sure that there are no expectations, only expectations for us to do the best that we can, and then let the scoreboard do what it does. If we go out and we communicate and we support one another and we perform to the best of our ability, then that's all we can do.
We're just going in to have fun, but also we want to win. We want to take that top spot, and I think we have the team to do it this year. Right now, I don't really have any expectations going in this team. I think a lot of pressure has been taken off since transitioning from individual to team. Just team training has been completely different from individual. Not training twice as hard as the individuals, like less volume. It's a lot more fun. Like, I'm really enjoying it. It's actually been really nice for me. There obviously is a little bit of pressure for us being defending champions, but honestly, I think we're still the underdog going in. Standing on top of the podium would be pretty surreal and definitely exceed my expectations from this season. And just to represent the whole Sea of Green CrossFit Invictus community and to know that we're the fittest affiliate on earth would be pretty cool.
I mean, CrossFit Invictus already had an amazing affiliate team, but adding Lauren Fisher, adding Rasmus Anderson after the regionals, they're going to be tough to beat. But for the super teams, I mean, we're talking NorCal. We just saw Invictus. Ute has won 2 times, and then Mayhem has the former champ on it. These guys are getting a whole lot of publicity, and they deserve it, but they're not in the lead right now. Who do we think could have the best day 2?
I think that NorCal is going to make the biggest move today. If you just look at the 2 events with the earthworm and the squats and the run, and then you get into the synchros, I think, they're going to do very well with the teamwork in the earthworm, and they're planning there. But when they get into the synchros, it's an evolution of what we did at the regionals for the synchros. And if you looked at all the teams across the board, they won that by over a minute. So I really look for them to make big moves today.
It's hard to argue that, but I'm going to go with you. They're in 8th place right now. They're tied in points for 2nd, and really, when you look at the spread across the leaderboard, they're only 6 points out from 3rd. And if you look at the programming today, it really suits them well. We're starting with the Earthworm. Features a lot of running and squats. They showed how well they can run yesterday, and they definitely can squat with some of those big boys. You got the synchros, which they happened to win that variation at regionals, and they were 4th worldwide. And then you followed up with the clean and jerk. They've got some big boys on their team and 2 games athletes in Taylor Richards-Lindsay and Mandy Janowitz.
They do have some massive guys to squat that worm. It's going to be a very good day to be Ute, I believe. But you know, these super teams, it's not all about just having big stars. There are plenty of regular affiliates that have 6 athletic people coming together, and they're in the lead right now. So what could be some non-super teams that we should keep our eye on?
I think the 2010 champs, CrossFit 4th Vancouver, they are sitting in 4th right now. Besides Invictus, they're the only other team to have 7 appearances. And their captain, Adam Neefer, has been here for all 7, so they know what it takes. They know what it takes to get onto the podium, and I look for them to stay in the top 10.
I'm going to go with the Dutch. You know, they're 9th
You
place
just like
overall.
the name.
I just like the name. You're right. They took 12th in the beach event and then 9th in the run. And really, who doesn't like an underdog story? They got to the games because of a disqualification from another team in their region. And it could be one of those situations similar to 2012 when TJ's Gym made it in via disqualification. They got an invite to the games, and they made the most of it. They finished as high as 6th overall that year at the games, and I'm hoping we can see that again.
Now, the event coming up for these teams, event number 3, is called the Earthworm. It is going to be a brutal event. 600-meter run, but that doesn't tell the whole story. That 600-meter run is up big flights of stairs here in the stadium. They come back down, they do some squats with the worm, then another run. The squats increase in number, a second run, and then ending with 75 worm squats. And Caity, tell me one more time, what's the weight of that worm?
435 pounds.
435 pounds, and I know the teams are already blown up from the worm deadlifts yesterday, so you know, what's a good strategy on event 3?
For me, it's don't win the first round. You know, there's going to be a lot of hustle to that berm to get in front because it's going to be such a hodgepodge there. And then you have 25 worm squats. You're going to see some teams just come out firing, and by the time they get to that round of 50 squats and 75 squats, their legs are going to be done. So don't win the first round, take it easy, and, you know, make your money in the later rounds.
And what's a different strategy?
Well, I think it's just sticking to your plan. If you have a plan going in, don't worry about what's going on beside you if people are out in front of you. But what will be interesting if a team is going to try and be the hero and they're going to try and go unbroken. And then they are broken down, like you said, from the beach deadlift. So if they don't go unbroken, what's the secondary plan? You know, do they start to get off base? And we'll see how that all turns out.
And a lot of pressure on the super teams, but specifically, I mean, it is the first appearance for Rich Froning, 4-time individual champion on CrossFit Mayhem, and Justin Judkins caught up with them in the athlete area moments ago.
Justin Judkins here in the athlete warm-up area. I am with the men on the team, CrossFit Mayhem, Rich Froning, Matt Hewitt, and also James Hobart. Rich, you're in 18th place right now. What did you think of the first 2 beach events yesterday?
The beach event I thought we did pretty well, better than not expected, but we did well on an event, especially like that you don't really know how it's gonna shake out. And then we did as well as I thought we'd do on the run. We knew that probably wasn't going to be a great event for us, and I think we did well for what we had, so it was good.
And I understand that those deadlifts with that worm were somewhat challenging. What were the after effects of that?
Yeah, my right hamstring, I don't know. I think Matt's hamstring too, just his right side. James's doesn't hurt for some reason, but I don't know, it took a toll. Yeah, right? I don't know, it feels like I got a little tweak or a little pull in there, so we'll see how it goes today.
Now that you have some experience with that worm, what's your strategy coming into this next event?
We'll just kind of figure it out as we go, I guess. You can't really, if you've never really messed with one, it's kind of hard to have a strategy and then get into it and have to change it. So we'll mess with it on the fly and see how it goes.
And for the first time ever in a competition, you are messing with a worm. You've dealt with odd objects before. Was it a different change for you coming in and being on a team and doing the worm?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different challenge, but it's fun. We had a good time. I mean, when you're working out with friends, how hard can it be?
And you're in 18th place now.
Yep.
Obviously want to move up the leaderboard today. What's it going to take to get up that leaderboard?
We'll have to have some good events. I think we kind of tested the deadlift muscle up, and it wasn't the exact weight because we didn't know the weight at the time. We did pretty well, but hamstring's going to have to loosen up for that, so we'll see.
One last question. How did the documentary go last night?
It was fun. It was cool to see it all come together and see what Heber did, and he did a great job, and it was fun.
Well, very good. Thanks, guys. James, Matt, and Rich. Justin Judkins here in the athlete warm-up area. Pat, back to you guys.
And Rich Froning, just as animated as ever. He gets a lot of the press coverage, but there you see the women of the Mayhem team as well. And obviously, you're not making it out to the games unless your team overall is well-rounded. And to everyone at home, man, we have a special treat in store for you right now. 7 times games athlete, Chris Spealler, well known in the community. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
You and I go back for a bit before we were even friends. I watched you compete and saw your times on CrossFit.com. I was like, who is this guy and how is he so good? A huge chunk of your life was spent competing. Those days are behind you now. How is life after competition?
Yeah, it's good. It's different. I miss being out here tremendously, but I think because I didn't try to be here, it doesn't hurt. I just miss it. But it's good. Way more time with the family. I get to do things I love to do, like ski and mountain bike, take the Jeep out, and that didn't exist for the past 8 years.
You've seen kind of the evolution. I mean, you were way back on the ranch to what we see now. What's the difference from your perspective?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's night and day from, hanging out in a dirt pit into the StubHub Center and being able to have the crowd around you, and the athlete village alone went from having your own tent to now having people waiting hand and foot on you.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, we've done some things so far in terms of programming, but we have a hero workout plan. Murph, you do Hero Month at your gym. What's the significance of that for you, and why'd you plan that for your gym?
Yeah, so it's actually really cool. We kind of stole that from, I think it was Joe Westerland, and he had that running at his box, and we had Eric take a bunch of programming and just kind of divide it and spread it out over the course of the month. One, so we could just honor those that have served. And then two, it's a great community building event. And it's been really fun for the community to take part in Park City.
I mean, are you finding yourself just beat up from continually doing hero workouts?
Well, that's where it's really important to have a guy like Eric allocate things correctly. And we split things up into teamwork, and scaling things down is really, really important.
Another thing you posted on Instagram was some advice to some of the competitors here, and I think one of the things that really stood out to me is you said you focus on what you can control. How important is that for these athletes?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things that they can do. It's easy to get wrapped up in the things that you can't control, other people's performance, the temperature, the equipment, and even like your past performance. So just taking one thing at a time is really important. And I've just had some conversations with a couple of athletes already, and you can tell some of them are a little bit on edge from the past, but there's nothing they can do about that now. They can control Murph right now.
If you had to pick one of those 5, what would you say the most important is?
Oh, man. They're all so important, but I think just kind of like Caity said, having that mentality of, okay, what has happened is in the past, and what I have is right now, and nobody has any bearing on that except for me.
So you've been doing a tremendous amount of hero workouts this month, obviously. The individual athletes are going to face Murph. If you were facing Murph today, what would be your advice to them?
Go as hard as possible. I would say that it's probably one of those paced workouts, really important for your athletes to go out strong, get uncomfortable real soon, and stay uncomfortable for quite a while.
And so some of these things that we're going to see here, especially the vest, are there any details that people at home may not be aware of, like putting the vest on, how it balances, how it changes your movement?
Yeah, so I got a chance to kind of play around with the vest a little bit, and I think it's going to be something different than what most of the athletes are used to. I think it might bounce around a little bit more than what some of the athletes are used to. And just the way that the plates are set in there, it's really cool because I think it's very similar to a regular flak jacket, but it's not a weight vest like they're used to at home.
Any picks for who's going to win Murph for the men?
Ooh, I was looking around a little bit. I think on the guys' side to look at, Matt Frazier, Noah Olson, and kind of like a little bit of a dark horse. I think Rob Forte could be one to keep an eye out for. And on the ladies' side, I think Sam Briggs can hurt, and also China Cho. I think those are two gals to watch out for.
Chris, thank you very much for being on the show. I hope you enjoy your life post-competition. For those who watched the show yesterday, I will tell you that Sydney Sullivan absolutely mopped the floor with Will Powell. She won the tweets by far. She was the most inspirational story. Lots of events left today. Come back at 10:30 a.m. for more Day at the Games coverage.